We have to get a lot of votes. We can't be cutting. We need to get a lot of support. I'm not happy about certain aspects of it, but I'm thrilled by other aspects of it. That's the way they go. It's very big. It's the big, beautiful bill. But the beautiful is because of all of the things we have.
The beautiful is because of all the things we have. The big, maybe we're going to have to add a couple of things to it to make it what would make everyone happy. Can everyone just be happy? I don't know. It's Washington. That might be a heavy lift. Just want to bang on the drum all day. That's pretty much every Democrat. You see the crazy, bigoted, radical Democrats in Seattle, Washington, attacking the Christian group violently, and the news media is good with that. They're not on the side of civilization anymore. They're the left. But you see these people, and it's Antifa, which is a German terrorist group that the Democrat Party has adopted as their own in the United States because, let's not forget who they are. And a very good Thursday, too. Welcome back. Once again, we have only 3 hours. And the Democrats have once again given us about 5 hours worth of crazy, absolutely crazy stuff because of all of their mental issues, very serious mental issues. We had a very interesting interview yesterday on the Fox News channel with Bret Baier, FBI Director Kash Patel being interviewed by Bret Baier on a whole range of things. And Kash Patel spilling the beans, I guess, or, coughing up some information. Although I've got to say I was quite dissatisfied with the response to, so Jeffrey Epstein killed himself? Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. Oh, yeah, he killed himself. Then we just keep moving. I'm not sure I think you need a couple of follow-up questions in there, Bretster. I think that there's more to quiz him on when it comes to that. Not good enough to just say, oh yeah, he killed himself. Because a lot of people don't believe our government, interestingly enough. But we've got that. FBI Director Kash Patel vows definite answer on the top January 6th question. He says, it is coming. That's, the number of FBI people in the crowd that were working for the corrupted FBI, corrupted by the Democrats and the Biden administration. Speaking of the corrupt Biden administration, another fun one yesterday. There's a whistleblower, and it turns out that the Biden administration was paying off the debt of farmers, billions and billions of our dollars, of course, but only if you're not white. If you're a Pacific Islander, if you're Latinx, if you're black, if you're anything except white, then you get all your loans paid off because the Democrat Party is the most racist organization in the United States of America, and they're self-loathing racists in many cases too. But a whistleblower has come forward, and the Biden people, now they're speaking up. Oh no, that's not true. They're denying it, but the thing is, you can't believe a word they say. Whatever they say, you should probably assume that the opposite is the truth because, they are them after all. They've proven if you were married to one of them, you wouldn't believe them after, years and years of fraud and cheating and lying to because they're Democrats. But in any case, FBI Deputy Director, you know who that is? That's Dan Bongino. Says, and everybody knows Dan Bongino. FBI Deputy Director says Bureau will pour resources into cases including the Supreme Court leak and cocaine at the White House. Cocaine. I wonder what could be the explanation for that. But our top investigators in buildings filled with cameras just can't explain any of that. And the Supreme Court leak, gosh, maybe you should have looked at the phones of a couple of people and the communication since it led to death threats against Supreme Court justices and things. Maybe somebody like the FBI should have looked into that and figured it out. Of course, they're still not sure who shot John Kennedy in 1963. Hey, where are those documents? We got that. They allegedly released those documents, but did it make any difference? It's our government. It's and our media. Between our government and our media, I think we're in deep, aren't we? Just amazing stuff. And here's a great headline from our friends at Newsbusters, the wonderful people at Newsbusters and the Media Research Center. Just great stuff. The unhinged MSNBC, that's MS-13 DNC, upset the FBI will investigate White House cocaine, January 6th pipe bomb, and the Dobbs decision leak from the Supreme Court. And at MSNBC, they're very angry. They don't want those things to be looked into. Now they've finally discovered something that might be a waste of government resources. And it's only when you find out about Democrat Party corruption, or when you're looking into Democrat Party corruption, that's when they become very upset indeed. Just amazing stuff. So, yeah, MSNBC, angry like Marvin the Martian. They're always angry about something. They're not happy unless they're not happy. How dare you look into who placed the pipe bomb at DNC headquarters, and the same guy placed the pipe bomb at RNC headquarters the day before January 6th, a date which will go down in infamy if the Democrats have anything to say about it, because it's the one day that they didn't have a violent mob on the street terrorizing people. You know how they are. So we've got that going. MSNBC very upset that the FBI is going to investigate Democrat crimes like pipe bombs and cocaine in the White House. And the leak of the Dobbs decision, all Democrat crimes, to be sure. I go ahead and bet $1 on each one of them. That's 3 separate $1 bets that all roads lead to Democrats when it comes to these things. Amazing stuff. And you see this Massachusetts Gesundheit governor. She's a Democrat, too. And she's very upset. Blue state governor sounds off about disturbing ICE operations on affluent liberal islands, talking about Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. You think Barack Obama and Michelle Obama have any illegal aliens on their sprawling oceanfront estate there on Martha's Vineyard? I sure hope their chef isn't paddleboarding or anything like that, because that can only lead to bad things. But the Democrat governor there, she is a Democrat, and her name is Maura Healey, and she's very angry that ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, would go to Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket and arrest 40 illegal aliens, including at least one MS-13 gang member who they all want their daughters to date because they're Democrats. And maybe they don't remember the Brazilian illegal alien that was arrested in Massachusetts. He had escaped prison in Brazil after he had been convicted of murdering 11 people. And then he was working at somebody's house in Massachusetts. And the Democrats shrug, and and in fact, AOC's back at it. She wants to defund ICE because she wants more crime. The Democrats, and she's not very bright. Let's be honest. Let's be fair. Not so bright, that one. But made a poor bartender, and I guess a better member of Congress because she's a Democrat, and the standards are so low. Absolutely amazing stuff. Another amazing story, a young man who was held hostage by the terrorists of Hamas, which enjoys the support of the Democrat Party, not just on college campuses, but on Capitol Hill and beyond. Freed Israeli hostage, Omer Shem Tov, said that Hamas suddenly started treating him better after Donald Trump won the election. And they explained why. And I've got the audio for you on that because it's really something. Yes, sir. And we've got a Democrat out there, a Democrat who is just loves the assassin of 2 Israeli embassy employees in Washington, D.C. A matter of days ago. And they're like, hey, he didn't hate Jews. He's not an anti-Semite. He just doesn't like Israel. And they're actually doing that with a straight face. Pretty amazing stuff. And they're defending him. They're making excuses for the murderer of the 2 Israeli embassy employees on the streets of Washington, D.C. by gunfire. And you've got Democrats out there saying, hey, I went and I talked to his friends. And his friends say he's never been an anti-Semite, except for this one double political assassination that he perpetrated. Other than that, he's never said anything that might indicate he was going to go kill Israeli embassy employees. And you've got Democrats out there online making excuses for him and defending being a homicidal anti-Zionist, even if you're not an anti-Semite. This is the explanation that they're giving. Isn't that amazing? Yes, sir. And Fetterman, this is because the Democrats are everywhere. Fetterman went to Israel on New York City mental health nonprofit's dime. Well, what's he supposed to pay his own way or go on a congressional thing or something? But this is a pretty good one. Senator John Fetterman has missed 30 floor votes this year. He's a Democrat. That's perfectly allowable, I think. Representing the state of Pennsylvania, allegedly, and there are all kinds of issues with him, but when you're a Democrat, none of this really matters. So alongside his wife, Giselle, John Fetterman flew first class to Israel and stayed in 5-star hotels in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem as part of a fact-finding mission. Don't they all do this every day? Isn't this what it's all about, being a member of Congress? So Fetterman and his wife brought the wife along, flying first class. Now, it was Mayor Eric Adams in New York. The Democrats tried to put him in a penitentiary for 20 years because he went to Turkey and he took an upgrade from coach to first class. So the Biden Justice Department tried to put the Democrat mayor in a penitentiary for decades for this upgrade to first class on his flight to Turkey because they didn't approve of it, I guess. Pretty amazing stuff. But when you're a Democrat, all of this is perfectly normal, isn't it? Alongside his wife, Giselle, Fetterman flew first class to Israel, stayed in 5-star hotels. Why would you stay in a dump? You're a U.S. senator. You brought your wife with you. It's a nice vacation. Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. It's pretty amazing. Honestly, I'd like to stay in the 5-star hotels, too. According to a recent travel disclosure document. Well, hey, he put it in a travel disclosure document, so what's the problem? On the trip, the itinerary shows he met with President Benjamin Netanyahu. That seems reasonable. He's a U.S. senator visiting Israel, and Benjamin Netanyahu is the prime minister. So to discuss the current state of affairs in Israel and Israel's response to the mental health crisis following the October 7th terrorist attack by radical Islamic jihadi terrorist bloodthirsty ghouls of Hamas who enjoy the support of the Democrat Party in the United States. Have I mentioned that we remain at 888-630-9625? Isn't it wonderful? And we've got this. I don't know. They had the devil in the Ozarks. You see this? Grant Hardin, a one-time sheriff who became a rapist and murderer and a convict and in prison, and then he escaped from prison, and now he's on the loose. It's like a bad made-for-TV movie. This story is unbelievable. Former Arkansas police chief was serving a decades-long sentence for a brutal rape and a murder when he escaped from a Calico Rock prison on Sunday by disguising himself in a makeshift law enforcement uniform. That's what they say, and it got right by everybody. The ongoing search for Grant Hardin, 56 years old, sparked urgent warnings from local law enforcement. They say he's real dangerous. He looks like it, too, when you see his face. Put residents of the small northwest Arkansas town on edge, as you might expect, and reignited feelings of hurt and pain. The family of one victim that they tried to bury the agony. And this is kind of an amazing story. And what are you doing? You got a Democrat as a police chief. How did that happen? That's what I can't understand. I mean, there's only one conclusion you can come to. Remarkable things. I've got lots of stuff. And you see this teenager that graduated from high school, and he had a shift to do at the local Burger King where he had a job, and he was kind of in a time crunch. So it led to an interesting circumstance, and it's a happy story because the young man did the right thing and acted like an adult, and that was very nice. Very nice story. Good stuff. And also, I think I mentioned it in the last couple of days, this new neighborhood in New York. Are you familiar with this new neighborhood in New York? In New York City. It's called Dumbo. You're familiar with Dumbo? That's what they call it. It's in New York City. It's not a slur or anything. Dumbo. In New York, it's a new neighborhood. And I was talking to my best girl about it this morning, and something occurred to me about the neighborhood called Dumbo. That's coming up. And we remain at 888-630-9625. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. All right, in Seattle, the Democrats with their adopted German terrorist group called Antifa, which you can find videos online of Antifa home invasions in Germany, and they murder people and torture people. And the Democrats said, hey, we can pick that up here in the United States. So now Antifa is a part of the Democrat Party. It's supposed to stand for anti-fascist, but nobody in the conversation is more fascist than they are. And they have a left-wing mayor who's a radical, and now he's playing the victim because a group of Christians that held a rally to support children who the Democrats want to sexualize in kindergarten as transgender and gender dysphoric. Amazing stuff. The Antifa people showed up to attack the nice Christians who were looking to defend children against the sexual predators of the Democrat Party with their gender issues. And the violent attacks on the Christians led to the Seattle mayor, you'll be surprised to learn this, attacking the Christians and blaming the Christians. And then he fell back and said, oh, yeah, you're only doing this because I'm biracial. I'm sorry, what? What are you talking about now? You've got a mental illness or several mental illnesses. Amazing stuff. The local stations there, King 5, controversial Seattle rally. There should have been nothing controversial about it. Spurs legal threats against Mayor Bruce Harrell. The Seattle rally's turmoil prompts legal threats against Mayor Harrell from organizers claiming their rights were violated. Well, just the violent mob attacking them and terrorizing them in the name of some German terrorist group called Antifa that the Democrats lie to everybody about. It's quite amazing. A faith-based rally in Seattle that turned into a chaotic confrontation is now sparking legal threats against Mayor Bruce Harrell. Pursuit Church and Mayday USA, Mayday for Our Children, the groups behind last weekend's event at the Cal Anderson Park, say their constitutional rights were violated. Sure, they demanded an apology or the mayor's resignation. Now, wait till you hear what happened here, because the violent mob of Democrats attacked the nice Christian people who want little children to be left alone and want the sexual predators to go away. But wait till you hear this whole thing. And the left, the Democrat Party, it's about time the Democrat Party should be banned, I think. All right. I got a bunch of stuff riling me up here at work today at the studio. Corporate things. Riled up, a little miffed, I think. But I'll get past all that as I normally do. Let's go to the I can't wait to get to Seattle and this lunatic, left-wing, radical, racist mayor who hates Christians because he's a run-of-the-mill Democrat. And I've got them coming, the violent mob that are emulating a German terror group because they've made that fashionable. But let's get to defending the assassin of 2 Israeli embassy employees by watering it down. Where do you hear this one? The Democrat Party. And paying off loans for farmers unless you're white. If you're any other racial or ethnic group, then the Biden administration was paying off your farmer loans. But if you're white, then you were not eligible because they are racists, is the short answer, because Democrats is the one-word answer. But in the meantime, let's go to the telephones before we get back to Seattle. Let's go to Mark calling from Fairfax, Virginia. Marcus, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, good morning, Chris. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay, great. You know what, Chris? You do such a great job. Even in 1 minute, you get more information out to us than I think anybody ever has. And you do just – and so to cut it short here, all I can add to what you do so wonderfully is God's word. And we're trying to figure out Democrats. That's what my topic today is. We try to go back and say, why would they do this? Well, God's word says this in Romans 1, verse 25. It says, they exchanged the truth about God for a lie and worshiped and served the created things rather than the Creator, who is praised forever. And I think that's what we're up against, Chris.
Yeah, well, I think you're onto them. Exchanging the truth for a lie is certainly the everyday program of, I think, every Democrat and Democrat-leaning organization, from Jake Tapper at CNN to the New York Times to the Biden administration and all of their minions to Barack Obama. We got Michelle Obama today, too, don't we? We've got Michelle Obama. Yeah, their relationship with the truth is not a healthy relationship. That's for sure, Mark. And I try to point this out. It's inevitable that it must be pointed out every day because of the crazy, crazy lies that they spew, and they expect us all to believe it. You know, I think I made reference to it yesterday or the day before yesterday. The Soviet author Elena Gorokova, in her book, A Mountain of Crumbs, where she wrote, the rules are simple. They lied to us. We know they're lying. They know we know they're lying, but they keep lying to us, and we keep pretending to believe them. And she was describing the Soviet Union, but I've got to say, Mark, and they were, among the biggest murderers of humanity in the history of the world, second only to the Chinese communists down the road from them. And I've got to say that the Democrat Party has visited the Soviet Union and the Soviet ethos upon us here in the United States.
Yes, Chris. Hey, have a wonderful day. Really love your show.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. That's and let's. We've got since Mark is talking about the tossing out the truth and trading it for a lie, that goes to a couple of stories that we have in front of us today, perhaps unsurprisingly. I should also mention that today, because my friend Kevin sent this along a few minutes ago. Kevin, who does our social media and a lot of great stuff, Kevin Tober, and he sent along. Today is the birthday, May 29th, the birthday of John F. Kennedy, the President of the United States, John F. Kennedy, who, if he hadn't been shot in the head by a communist, or maybe the CIA, but if he hadn't been shot in the head by a communist in Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas in 1963, he would be, 108 years old today. And if, he could live a real long life and he'd still be very happy and healthy. But a pretty amazing thing that it'd be John F. Kennedy's birthday. He probably wouldn't have lived to be 108 years old, but you never know because, he was doing pretty well before he got shot in the head by a communist. But 108 years ago today, John F. Kennedy was born. Democrat president, the only Democrat president to be assassinated. The other three presidents were assassinated. They were Republicans assassinated by Democrats. And this one was a Democrat assassinated by a communist. I think I see a trend line there. Don't you see a trend line in there somewhere? But 108th birthday or the 108th anniversary of the birth of President John F. Kennedy, and probably wouldn't have lived to be 108, even though, he seemed to be doing okay. But the Democrats. Now let's get to the other one other Democrat story, because in Seattle, Washington, which used to be a really great city, a really nice city, and visited there even before it went crazy. In Seattle, Washington, I always like to point this out when the left-wingers are having their day in Seattle, Washington. In Seattle, Washington, there is a monument, a 16-foot-high bronze statue of Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov, better known as Lenin. Lenin, the Soviet Bolshevik communist revolutionary who set the table for the murder of tens of millions of people and still plagues the planet Earth with his murderous regime founded in St. Petersburg. And Bernie Sanders was there, interestingly, for the Bolshevik Revolution, too. But the people of Seattle, they love their bronze 16-foot-high statue of Lenin, which is on public display. And I've been there. I've seen it. I've touched it. It's never been vandalized. They've never thrown red paint on it like Christopher Columbus or anything like that. They love their Vladimir Lenin monument. Now, Lenin never went to Seattle. There's no tie to Seattle, except a bunch of communist leftists who call themselves Democrats are there. Now, let's go to the events of this past weekend, because this is kind of a big deal, I've got to say. And they've got a crazy left-wing mayor there who played the race card in the middle of all this. It's great stuff. Bruce Harrell is the name of the mayor of Seattle, and he's half black and half Japanese, and he can't wait to tell you in every conversation. I'm mixed race. I'm like, yeah, that's real interesting. Pass the salt. I was just asking for the salt. Your race is not the most important thing here, but he's the left-wing radical extremist Democrat mayor of Seattle, American politician. Can't wait to tell you about his black father and his Japanese mother. His Japanese mother, he loves to tell you, was thrown in an internment camp in the United States during World War II by the Democrats, by the way. And then he naturally grew up to be one of the people that interned his mother, threw his mother into an internment camp. But here's a story from the Fox News people. Seattle mayor accused of lying after blaming Christian rally for park violence. They really dislike Christians. They're very anti-Christian, and they want to transgenderize kindergarten students. So these Christian parents were in a public park and had arranged for it ahead of time and gotten permission to protest the Democrats degenderizing, neutering children as young as kindergarten with gender dysphoria, trying to inflict that upon them. The parents are like, leave our kids alone. And while the nice Christian people were having a peaceful rally, they were attacked violently by a gang of Democrats so they dressed like Hamas, and they call themselves Antifa, which is supposed to mean anti-fascist, but they're the fascists as usual. And Antifa is a German terrorist group that they've adopted, the Democrats here in the United States. Now, the mayor, Bruce Harrell, suggested Mayday USA, name of the organization, Christian organization, having the rally because they're crying Mayday. They're not communists, but they're crying Mayday for the children of America. The mayor, Bruce Harrell, said Mayday USA deliberately picked their rally location to provoke outrage, and boy, it worked like a charm because the outrage was everywhere. So organizers of the Christian rally that the Seattle mayor, Bruce Harrell, blamed for a violent riot at a local park, pushed back against his claims that they intentionally provoked outrage on Tuesday. You don't have to do much to deliberately provoke outrage from the violent, criminal, mentally ill, gender-deranged Democrat Party. So let's go to soundbite number 25. Turning Point USA they had their people there to cover the event from a journalistic standpoint, knowing that CNN wouldn't, and if they did, they would corrupt the hell out of it. So the good people at Turning Point USA, Frontlines, Turning Point USA coverage of the Seattle riot by Antifa against normal people, Christians.
Hundreds of Christian worshipers flooded Seattle's Cal Anderson Park Saturday afternoon to pray for the city and take a stand for traditional family values. But a time of blessing and praise quickly devolved into chaos. Far-left activists and Antifa militants tried to disrupt the concert.
Nice people.
Throwing water balloons at the crowd, menacing attendees, and some activists even tried rushing the stage.
Well, of course they did, because they're a violent mob of criminals and amazing stuff. Amazing. 3 days ago, the Newsweek magazine people, Seattle police at breaking point after Antifa landmass arrests. And The police have had it with the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party they're the party of 1861, the party of Fort Sumter. They're not on our side. And the good people at Frontlines, Turning Point USA, covering the events that ABC News with George Stephanopoulos will not.
I would say there's two kingdoms clashing here today. There's the kingdom of God, and then there's the kingdom of Satan.
As the day progressed, another group of trans activists marched into the park, adding to the number of people targeting followers of Jesus Christ with nasty messages, vile curse words, and full-blown debauchery. But even with the taunting, middle fingers, and disparaging comments, prayers of love and forgiveness were sent to their attackers on the other side.
Isn't that fascinating? And I got the nice Christian people are saying, stop trying to sexualize children in kindergarten and leave our kids alone. And the Democrats said, oh, yeah, we've got a German terrorist group that we're going to set loose on you, and they'll violently attack you. And then the idiot Democrat mayor will blame the normal people and not the violent people wearing masks, which are like Hamas masks to conceal their identity. Isn't that amazing? And now the news media is upset because the FBI is getting involved. And the headline here is, FBI gets involved after Antifa agitators attack two Christian events in Seattle. And still the Lenin Memorial is unmolested. Seattle is still the left-wing cesspool it's always been. But the FBI is different under President Donald Trump. The good people at the Western Journal are writing. They're writing the truth. Samuel Short. Good stuff. KZIO reported Tuesday that the protest outside Seattle City Hall, the Rattle in Seattle demonstration, came in response to comments made by Mayor Bruce Harrell about a Christian event over the weekend, and the mayor called it a far-right rally, He's an extremist leftist radical, and he supports terrorists like the people who violently attack the nice Christians, the people of Antifa, who claim to be anti-fascist, but really are radicals and communists, and, because like they are the terrorist group in Germany. The event in question occurred Saturday at Cal Anderson Park in Seattle, the May Day USA worship event. It included a concert with worship in the name of family values and exercising First Amendment rights against subjecting children to mutilating so-called gender-affirming procedures. Antifa thugs and rioters, referred to as Antifa agitators by the organizers, also showed up. According to Frontline's coverage, Frontline Turning Point, the good people there, coverage via social media platform X, event organizers reported being assaulted, 23 arrests were made, and all of this is perfectly normal, right? Now, the Antifa people show up and they say there are normal people, they must violently attack them. Here come the Democrats. They're called Antifa today. Now, the police have to show up, and the Democrats want to defund the police, and they violently attack the police, and they're just the anti-Christian mob attacking the Christians and the police. Because they don't want their kids' genitals mutilated, or anybody else's kids' genitals mutilated secretly, while keeping the parents in the dark, as the Democrats are fond of doing. And the mayor there, Mayor Harrell, says, Seattle is proud of our reputation as a welcoming, inclusive city for LGBTQ plus communities. How many communities do they have? But not Christians and not mainstream Americans and not normal people that don't want child genital mutilation to become the norm in the United States of America. But the Democrats, they've got a different view of all that. They love child genital mutilation and violent attacks by criminal mobs concealing their identities because they're attacking Christians. Oh, we're well. And here comes the mayor, who plays the race card in the middle of all this for himself, saying, oh, yeah, the Christians are at fault. Why did they have a protest, a demonstration, a gathering? They're only provoking the violent criminals of the Democrat Party, and it's not the fault of the violent criminals of the Democrat Party. It's the fault of the Christians who are against child genital mutilation. Now, the pastor who arranged for the pro-children rally in Seattle, condemned by the Democrat radical mayor there, Pastor Russell Johnson was one of the guys, or one of the organizers.
Police officers were hospitalized. Church people were assaulted. And the mayor of Seattle has the audacity to blame Christians for the violence. Nothing could be more demonic and untrue.
Nothing could be more demonic and untrue, 100% true. Pastor Johnson was also on the Laura Ingraham show last night.
I'll only correct one thing in the reporting of your story. They weren't throwing water balloons. They were throwing water balloons filled with urine.
Which is normal for the Democrats. They do that to the police all the time, and then they blame the police for everything that happened because they're not liberals, they're the left. Here's the pastor.
So that happened on Saturday, and then the mayor followed it up. An hour after that event ended, police officers were hospitalized, good church people were injured. He followed that up with a press statement blaming the church for the violence. And
the Democrat mayor, who is a lunatic, the police injured, police hospitalized, water. But how do you even, I don't even want to talk about the balloons. Pastor Johnson.
After the mayor put out his statement and blamed us for the violence, I said we're taking the rally to the front steps of City Hall. And that's exactly what we did on Tuesday. And similar things happened. Antifa was out in force and worship songs and pray for the direction of the city. And the mayor put out a second statement, even worse than the first. And he said, well, the only reason you're rallying at City Hall is because you are opposed to the idea that I am biracial.
He played the race card. His father black, his mother Japanese, interned by the Democrats during World War II. And so what does he do? He says, the only reason is because I'm half black and half Asian, as though that has anything to do with anything.